Let us join forces to overcome this compound crisis, to live a prosperous world for future generations. Japan will continue to contribute to global decarbonization by providing tailored support to countries facing challenges. This will be done by using Japan's experience and technology and the promotion of private investment. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you, and thank you for coming all the way and coming right here and being so fresh and to the point. Thank you. I would now like to invite His Excellency Mr. Abrar H. Hashmi, Ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan to Nepal, for his statement. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Honorable Chair, Dr. Arzu Deobarana, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Namaste, Assalamu Alaikum, and a very good afternoon. On behalf of the Government of Pakistan, I extend our sincere gratitude to the government and people of Nepal for convening the inaugural Sagarmatha Sambaad. This timely dialogue underscores the nexus between climate change, mountains, and the future of humanity. Today, as we gather here in historic Kathmandu, glaciers are melting at an alarming pace. Their retreat threatens not just biodiversity and mountain communities, but the food, water, and energy security of millions downstream. Pakistan is home to towering ranges. Much like Nepal, we share 13 out of 14 highest peaks, from Himalayas to Karakoram and Hindu Kush, encompassing over 7,000 glaciers, the largest concentration outside polar region, and they are vital for us. We have witnessed firsthand the perils of glacier melt and gulfs due to climate change, despite contributing less than 1% to global greenhouse gas emissions. The 2022 floods was a stark reminder, displacing 33 million population, caused over $35 billion in losses, destroying critical infrastructure. The stark imbalance reinforces the urgency of equitable climate action and centrality of climate finance. Excellencies, according to IPCC assessment, surpassing the 1.5 Celsius warming threshold could result in the loss of over 1/3 of the world's remaining glaciers, with their devastating consequences for ecosystems, freshwater supplies, and sea level rise. The UNFCCC's Standing Committee on Finance estimates that developing countries will require over $6 trillion by 2030 to implement their NDCs. Therefore, there is an urgent need for enhanced global climate action and international cooperation to mitigate the negative impacts of climate change based on established principles of equity and common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities. The developed countries need to meet their climate finance commitments with balanced focus on adaptation and mitigation, as well as loss and damage. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, on its part, Pakistan has launched a wide range of institutional, financial, and policy reforms to catalyze a climate-resilient development pathway. These include establishment of Pakistan Climate Change Authority to steer long-term coordinated climate governance, ecosystem restoration, and to integrate adaptation measures across vulnerable sectors. Our national climate finance strategy is guiding climate investments in public-private collaboration. National Glacier Strategy is to address glacial melt and water stress. Under the Paris Agreement, Pakistan has pledged that by 2030, 30% of all new vehicles sold in Pakistan in various categories will be electric vehicles. We have set an ambitious target to generate 60% of our energy from clean and renewable energy sources by 2030. Living Indus initiative is designed as a world restoration flagship by UNEP to restore large-scale ecosystem to bolster climate resilience. The government is strengthening early warning systems and enhancing disaster preparedness and response mechanism to enhance cities' capacities to cope with climate change impacts and natural disasters. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, finally, we must all work together to share our knowledge, expertise, and resources to achieve humanity's common goals. Together, we can create a better and resilient future. I thank you all.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you for your statement. This concludes the list of statements by country delegations. Now it will be followed by statements from representatives of international and regional organizations. In this, I would like to invite His Excellency Martin Reiser, World Bank Regional Vice President for South Asia, to deliver his statement, followed by the Asian Development Bank. Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Arzu Deuba. Honored guests, friends and colleagues, last week, Nepal did something extraordinary. It held a funeral for a glacier. The Yala Glacier, high in the Langtang Valley, once stood proud, vast, beautiful, and seemingly eternal. It gave life to the communities below for generations, but today it has lost 2/3 of its mass and retreated nearly 800 meters since 1974. And if current warming continues, scientists warn it may disappear completely by the year 2040. The ceremony to honor Yala's passing was not just symbolic. It was a wake-up call. Because Yala's story is not unique, it's the story of the Himalayas. Glaciers across this sacred range are melting at record pace, and this is not a distant problem. It is already affecting the communities below that rely on the rivers that nourish nearly 2 billion people. And it's not just the rising temperatures. Pollutants like black carbon settle on the ice, accelerating the melt. Nepal, a country that has contributed so little to this crisis, finds itself on the frontiers of its impact. Droughts are more frequent, glacial lake outbursts, floods are more dangerous, and hard-won development gains are under growing threat. Yet, even in this sobering reality, we see powerful signs of resilience. Across South Asia, people are already adapting to climate change. In an upcoming report, we find that 4 out of 5 households are taking steps to cope with climate stress. And in places with early warning systems, 90% of families act in advance. These are not stories of helplessness. These are stories of action and strength. We also see what works. Nepal's community forestry movement, locally led, nationally scaled, is a model for the world. Rural roads, hanging bridges, are connecting people to markets, schools, and care. Indeed, it turns out that some of these basic development investments are at the core of effective adaptation strategies. But these efforts must grow. South Asia remains the most climate-vulnerable region among emerging economies, and while households and firms are trying, too many face barriers, limited credit, asymmetric information, and inflexible labor markets. The private sector has a vital role to play. Our analysis finds that autonomous adaptation, the actions that households and firms take in the face of climate change, could offset up to 1/3 of the impacts from rising temperatures. But governments must help to clear the way by improving access to weather data, promoting market-based solutions such as insurance, and investing in resilient technologies, basic infrastructure, and adaptive social protection. Because when people are informed and empowered and connected, they adapt and they lead. But let me be clear, this is not just about funding. International solidarity is vital. But in the face of declining aid budgets, it's about rethinking development, with climate shaping how we build, grow, and empower. That means stronger infrastructure, broader financial inclusion, and more jobs in resilient sectors like tourism, services, and the green economy. Our new country partnership framework for Nepal, which we expect to present to our board within this month, has these insights at its core. It focuses on only two key priorities: jobs and resilience. Jobs for people that are affected by climate change and need new opportunities, and resilience to make sure they have those opportunities and are better protected. Nepal has already written one of South Asia's most inspiring stories of poverty reduction. Let the next chapter be one of resilience, led by its people, supported by strong partnerships, and admired around the world. We stand ready to support Nepal and the rest of the South Asia region on this journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency, for your statement. And next on my list is Her Excellency Ms. Fatima Yasmin, Asian Development Bank Vice President for the sector. Her statement will be followed by SARC.
Honorable Foreign Minister of Nepal, Ms. Arjurana Deuba, Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, a good afternoon to you all. It is my privilege to speak at this inaugural session of Sagarmatha Sambaad. I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to the government of Nepal for hosting this event on climate change, mountains, and future of humanity. The majestic ranges of Hindu Kush Himalayas, Pamir, and Tian Shan have long shaped the culture, spiritual, and ecological identity of Asia. For the people of this region and beyond, mountains are not just an awe-inspiring landscapes. They are also sacred places, vital ecosystem, and essential sources of livelihoods. Yes, these mountains are now at the front line of the climate change crisis. Glacier retreat, water scarcity, floods, and landslides are becoming increasingly frequent and severe, threatening both natural ecosystems and rural communities. Hard-earned development gains achieved over decades by the people, communities, and countries are at constant risk of being wiped out in a single event. The 2024 glacial lake outburst flood in Sikkim was a stark warning of our rapidly changing climate. Unfortunately, it is not an isolated incident. What happened in the highlands inevitably cascades down to the lowlands, farther downstream in the deltas, such as the one where I come from. Sea level rise, floods, and typhoons present parallel risks. This is a shared crisis that demands coordinated actions requiring regional cooperation and long-term resilience planning. ADB's midterm review of Strategy 2030 identified 5 focus areas that will guide our work moving forward. Climate action is one of them, along with others. As of December 2024, ADB's cumulative climate finance commitment stood at $41.9 billion against our target of $100 billion by 2030. This significant investment reflects ADB's deepening commitment to addressing multi-hazard risk in our region. Let me quickly share a relevant example from Nepal. ADB's Building Adaptation and Resilience in the Hindu Kush Himalayas Technical Assistance Project aims to enhance the understanding of multi-hazard risks and strengthen regional cooperation and climate resilience across the fragile mountain ecosystem of the Hindu Kush Himalayan region. It supports countries in developing adaptive strategies to address growing climate and disaster risks to critical infrastructure and enhancing transboundary collaboration. Climate change does not recognize borders, and neither should our commitments and actions. The future of Asia depends on a useful response grounded in science, unified policies, equity, and innovation. ADB stands ready to support transformative action through regional cooperation, green technologies, and resilient infrastructure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency, and thank you, ADB, for making this whole event a success. I would now like to request His Excellency Muhammad Ghulam Sarwar, Secretary General of SAARC, to deliver his statement, followed by BIMSTEC.
Honorable Dr. Arzu Rana Deuba, Foreign Minister of Nepal, Honorable Ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, namaste and assalamu alaikum from the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, SAARC. It is a great honor for me to join you at this important forum, Sagarmatha Sambaad, aptly named after the world's highest peak, the majestic Mount Everest, Sagarmatha, which is not just our shared heritage, but also a symbol of endurance and resilience of Mother Nature. I commend the government of Nepal for convening this important multi-stakeholder dialogue on this critical theme, the climate change, mountains, and the future of humanity. The ecological lifeline today stands at a crossroad. Adverse impact of climate change is clearly visible in our mountains, and our mountains are sounding an unmistakable call for urgent and unified actions. Climate change has turned the Himalayas into both frontline and at the fault line. The Himalayas, which span across multiple SAARC countries, are warming twice the global average. Glaciers are retreating at an alarming rate. Seasonal patterns are becoming unpredictable. Communities are facing increasing risk of floods, landslide, glacial lake outburst floods, water insecurity, rising food insecurity, and forced migration. For mountain dwellers and the downstream populations alike, these changes are not abstract projections, they are the urgent realities. In South Asia, home to nearly a quarter of the humanity, the stake could not be higher. This is not just an environmental crisis, it is a development crisis, a security concern, and a human tragedy in the making. As we confront this growing crisis, I firmly believe that the road to sustainability must be built both on regional cooperation and global solidarity. The shared nature of our geography and the interconnectedness of our climate demands shared responsibility and concerted action at various levels. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2010, the leaders from SAARC member countries adopted the Thimphu Statement on Climate Change at the 16th SAARC Summit. It was a landmark moment, the first time climate change took center stage at the highest level of our regional cooperation. The Thimphu Statement recognizes our mountains, rivers, and peoples are faced the shared threats, and it is committed us to share the response. It emphasizes the urgency of regional and international collaboration on climate change, mitigation, adaptation, and promote climate resilience. The importance of low carbon technologies, renewable energy, as well as knowledge sharing. and the moral responsibility to act not only for ourselves, but for our future generation. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let this Sagarmatha Sambaad serve not only as a platform for dialogue, but as a call for action as we move forward on the path of climate resilience, regional solidarity, and sustainable development for our people. As the Secretary General of SAARC, I call upon all the member states and our partners around the world to prioritize, number one, strengthen the regional and global cooperation on climate science. Second, invest in the resilient communities. Third, protect and conserve the ecosystem that protect us. Fourth, amplify our collective voice on climate advocacy. Ladies and gentlemen, mountains may divide us geographically, but they also unite us in common purpose. Their waters do not stop at borders, neither do landslides, floods, or shifting monsoons. The climate crisis is indifferent to lines of the map. Therefore, our responses must be unified, science-driven, and rooted in justice and through regional cooperation. We must recognize, we must reimagine the development through the lens of sustainability. We must ensure that global collaboration is no longer optional, it is an imperative. Our future is intertwined with the fate of our mountains. The time to act cohesively, courageously, and collectively is now. Let the summit of Sagarmatha remind us of the height we can achieve when we come together. I wish everyone here a productive and successful Sambaad. Once again, I thank the government of Nepal for arranging such an important event in this beautiful city of Kathmandu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Excellency. May I now request His Excellency Mr. Indramani Pandey, Secretary General of BIMSTEC, to deliver a statement followed by IC mode. Excellency, you have the floor.
Manani Dr. Arju Rana Deuba, Honorable Foreign Minister of Nepal, Honorable Minister for Forest and Environment of Nepal, Excellencies, distinguished participants, Namaskar, a very good afternoon to you all. I am honored to represent BIMSTEC at the inaugural Sagarmatha Sambaad. I congratulate and commend the government of Nepal for convening this Sambaad. The speakers before me have already spoken about the threats and the challenges we face due to climate change. They have also called for concerted national, regional, and global action. A number of concrete proposals have been made. I will therefore focus on the initiatives taken by BIMSTEC to deal with climate change and related issues. As you are aware, BIMSTEC was founded in June 1997 and has been in existence for almost 28 years. It brings together 7 countries of region: Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Myanmar, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. It has on its agenda 17 sectors for cooperation, and the permanent secretariat of BIMSTEC is located in Dhaka, which anchors all its activities. BIMSTEC has its own charter and well-established decision-making mechanisms, and it operates on the principle of consensus. It enjoys the requisite political support of all its members, focuses on technical and economic cooperation, and stays away from divisive political issues. The recently concluded 6th BIMSTEC summit in Bangkok imparted a huge impetus to regional cooperation in Bay of Bengal. Apart from the adoption of summit declaration, our leaders also adopted a BIMSTEC Bangkok Vision 2030, the first vision of BIMSTEC of its kind. Environment and climate change has been a key priority for regional cooperation under BIMSTEC. During the 6th summit, leaders endorsed BIMSTEC Plan of Action for Environment and Climate Change, which focuses on 3 key areas: biodiversity, waste management, and climate change. Recognizing the vital need for regional cooperation to protect delicate ecosystem of mountains, mountain economy has also been identified as a sector for collaboration within BIMSTEC. An intergovernmental expert group on mountain economy has already finalized a plan of action on mountain economy, which outlines key priorities including enhanced connectivity, clean energy promotion, ecosystem and environment protection, and development of green tourism and sustainable livelihoods. In order to deal with the challenges of global warming, the BIMSTEC member states have also prioritized transition to green energy. BIMSTEC has adopted a plan of action for energy cooperation and a memorandum of understanding for BIMSTEC grid interconnection. Several dedicated BIMSTEC centers further support our regional climate actions. The BIMSTEC Center for Weather and Climate provides critical weather forecasts and early warning services, and the BIMSTEC Energy Center is mandated to promote cooperation in renewable energy and energy efficiency. The BIMSTEC Expert Group on Disaster Management is currently engaged in finalizing a plan of action to improve preparedness and coordination for responding to natural disasters in the Bay of Bengal region. A Himalayan Science Council is being set up. Further, the BIMSTEC Secretariat is actively pursuing partnerships with the international and regional organizations which are engaged in global and regional climate action with a view to leveraging their knowledge, resources, expertise, and programs for enhancing regional cooperation under BIMSTEC for climate action. In conclusion, I would like to reiterate that BIMSTEC offers an inclusive and effective platform to promote regional cooperation in environment and climate change, green energy transition, disaster management, and other climate change-related challenges in Bay of Bengal region. BIMSTEC member states are committed to forging meaningful partnerships and advancing tangible action to ensure a sustainable and climate resilient future for Bay of Bengal region. I thank you for your kind attention. Namaskar.
Thank you, Excellency. I would now like to request Mr. Pema Gabso, Director General of EC-Mode, to deliver his statement. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Honorable Chair, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, EC-Mode is pleased to be associated with this event, the Sagarmatha Sambaad, and would like to thank the Government of Nepal, our host, for giving us this privilege. Let me join all other previous speakers to convey our sincere appreciation to the people and Government of Nepal for hosting this flagship event. Honorable Chair, as the last speaker, I have the privilege of choosing what to speak and leaving out what I don't need to repeat. So I also hope that the alarm bell, the warning bell doesn't apply for me as I am the last speaker. So we have heard all the major issues and what we need to do. So from my own perspective, from my own understanding of what has been said all along, I would like to summarize my statements under 3 sections. The first is a set of facts that everybody seems to talk about and all of us acknowledge. The first of this fact is that the world is facing the triple planetary crisis of climate change, biodiversity loss, and air pollution. Second, that these crises are reinforcing, mutually reinforcing, and also interconnected, and they affect everyone. Third fact, that the mountain regions are highly exposed to the impacts of climate change and facing existential threats. Fourth, what happens in the mountains matter and impacts the water, food, and energy security of millions of people living both within and beyond in the downstream river basins. Fifth and the last, that 1.5 degrees Celsius is just too hot for the mountains, and we need to take urgent actions now. So, what I have seen is that we know enough to act, at least by those of us living on this planet, and the science is clear. So what is stopping us from taking actions to save our planet and secure the future of life on Earth including ourselves. In my opinion, there are 5 I's, 5 words that begin with I's that we do not give enough attention, and also 5 C's that we tend to avoid. In all our gatherings, we have heard conversations around these 5 I's. First is information. In our quest for more information, more evidence, more data, we conveniently do not make use of what we already have, and we do not share. While research should continue and efforts to enhance scientific knowledge should be increased, we need to make effective use of what we already know. Second is institutions. We have enough institutions around the world, nationally, regionally, globally. Third is instruments. We have so many legal, policy, and regulatory instruments to prevent and mitigate planetary crises, from bylaws at the local levels to international conventions and treaties. The fourth is innovations. Again, one of the common excuses we hear is that we do not have enough innovation, enough technology, enough knowledge. But I think we have to make use of all the innovations that already exist. We simply cannot wait for artificial intelligence to come up with the magic solution for our problems. Fifth and the last is investments. Again, if we check the books on our expenditures made on sustainable development, made on environment, made on climate mitigation and adaptation, we will be surprised. Enough investments have been made, but were they made in the right place, in the right time, in the right, in the places where it is most needed, and used effectively? I don't think so. Now, let me touch on the 5 C's. We lack communication. While we talk about communication all the time, I don't think we are talking in the same language. So there still exists this gap in communication. We need to improve on that. Second, coordination. How many of us in these rooms, regional, institutional, international institutions and organizations, can claim that we have enough coordination? I think we need to enhance our coordination at every level. Third is collaboration. Now we have collaboration, but in the spirit of true, in the spirit of true, collaboration is much misunderstood and often constitute a convenient alliance or alliance of parties. Real collaboration in letter and spirit, that is what I wanted to say.